I'll be refuting what my opponent has stated. One point that he made was that unions make it possible for 40-hour work weeks. Yes, this is true, they are responsible for that, but this was back in the 40s. We don't really need them anymore because we already have labor laws protecting. And we have stated that unions exploit their workers, not overwork. The laws already protect workers from working over 40 work week hours, and then also he stated that unions create a happy environment for their workers. And this is not true because it creates sides between management and employees. So labor unions, according to Joe Miseroli of Balanced Politics, labor unions create an artificial division between management and employees instead of what should happen. That is that both sides work together to make the company as good as it can be. Collective bargaining creates that us versus them mentality, where individuals must take sides, thus creating the employee to disagree with the union positions. He or she will still go along with it because they don't want to be perceived by coworkers as not on our side. So it kind of creates these teams between management and the employees rather than bringing them together, as my opponent stated. And he also stated that when you have an issue, unions will help to speak up to management so you don't really have to be alone. And this isn't always the case because unions often insist on concessions in exchange for new contract provisions, and according to James Shirk of the Capital Research Center, the upshot is that unionized businesses often try to avoid making changes because they're not worth the cost or time spent on the bargaining table. So basically, who really decides what's worth arguing for? So they don't always have your side if they feel like the issue is not big enough or it's going to cost too much money. And another downside is that the union creates a loss of autonomy. The flip side of job security is that union members sacrifice individuality by belonging to a group. You may disagree with the union's decisions, but you're bound to them. It's a trade-off, says Belsky Boris. So basically you don't have the opportunity to move up rather than someone who's been there longer, which is relating back to seniority, which the union creates. And he also stated that you can't be laid off, which is false because new hires can be laid off if there's lack of work. If there's not work available, then they're not going to keep employees around for nothing. So research shows that productive workers, whether unionized or not, earn higher wages. And this helps explain some union members' higher pay. So that was one of the claims that he stated, was that the union helps for employees to get better pay. But it's that unionized companies have an incentive to pay more to hire and retain productive workers, knowing that whoever they hire can't easily be fired. So they're more conscious about who they hire. And so unions are sometimes referred to like cartels. They help its members at the expense of the rest of the economy. So Detroit automakers passed along with the cost of inefficient work rules and higher labor costs by raising their prices. So this relates again to how it's not always benefiting the employee, but rather the union. According to James Shirk, unions boast that their members earn higher wages than non-union workers, but they don't create money out of thin air. They use their bargaining power to take it from someone else, contrary to popular impression that someone is usually not business owners. It's usually the consumer who pay higher prices when companies pass on the added cost of the union wage bill. So I'll be ending with this quote from Whittaker Calvin from the article, How Labor Unions Hurt the Economy. He says that unions cap wages, they do not recognize the achievements of individuals, they ignore skill level, reduce capital for business, and raise prices for consumers. These union externalities interact with the values embedded in the American dream. The people of this country are hardworking, free-spirited, and indigenous, and should be praised for their efforts, not withheld from the full potential by a union contract. So people should have a choice, just like anything else. They shouldn't be obligated to join the union just because they're employed by an employer.